A blind mystic once said 2026 would change everything, and only 6 zodiac signs stand to gain. That line lands like a bell. It hums with urgency and possibility. For some people, it will be a single phone call that flips a year. For others, a small decision that becomes a river. The claim is often attributed to Baba Vanga, a prophetic image people return to when they need a frame for a big, strange turning point. Take that attribution as the story's spark, not a guarantee. What matters is the pattern the year makes and how you choose to move through it. If you want to know whether yours is one of the 6 signs poised for the biggest financial shifts of 2026, stay with me. Subscribe now to make sure you don't miss any of the sign-by-sign signals and monthly updates. Here's the list you'll hear in full: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Virgo, Scorpio, Capricorn. 6 signs. 6 distinct ways fortune may find them. But get rich, in the language of this piece, is not a promise of instant miracles. It means a major financial breakthrough takes root, a pivot that moves someone from scrambling to scaling, a seed that has the chance to become sustained income, a shift that reframes work and status by year's end. These are windows, openings that require readiness, skill, and a measure of courage. Rules up front: all outcomes are conditional. No single horoscope forces a result. Instead, we map tendencies, timing, and most importantly, the signals to watch for that indicate the doorway is ajar. Know the patterns and prepare. If 2026 hands you a moment, it will be the small, ordinary cues that let you step through. Aries, the year the fire turns metal into gold. Prophetic anchor. For Aries, the prophecy shows a sudden reignition, as if a project that sputtered now finds oxygen. The image is simple: a spark hitting seasoned kindling. Mechanism of arrival: wealth for Aries is catalytic. It rarely falls into an Aries' lap as passive interest. It comes when the fire they've been fanning meets an external accelerant: a new role, a chance partnership, or the revival of an abandoned project that suddenly becomes marketable. The key word is leverage. A small infusion of momentum turns personal momentum into scalable income. Timing windows: watch spring for an initial wake-up, late March into May. A second, decisive window appears in July through September, where momentum either consolidates or disperses. If a seed is planted in spring, summer is the season it either flowers or needs replanting. Signals to watch for: a casual phone call that goes beyond formality, someone saying, "I've been thinking about your work," and meaning it. A mentor or peer suggesting you lead a new initiative or take a visible role. A previously shelved idea getting an unexpected green light, or a micro investment that allows you to pilot at scale. Incoming interest from a client or collaborator who previously dismissed the price tag.
Invitations to speak, teach, or represent a larger platform. Exposure that translates to offers. Recommended mindset and practical moves. Say yes selectively but quickly. When an Aries opportunity arrives, hesitation wastes leverage. Have a short decision framework. Does it move the main needle towards scale? If yes, act. Prepare a focused one-page pitch, not a business plan, a one-page map that shows value, need, and how quickly you can deliver. Keep it ready for phone calls that demand an instant follow-up. Prioritize basic financial hygiene. Set a separate account for incoming windfalls and plan a modest reserve that prevents immediate overspending. Treat early gains as seed capital, not salary. Caution: the impulse to burn everything immediately on rapid expansion is Aries' greatest risk. Flame can create warmth, or it can scorch foundations. Avoid expanding before systems and partners are in place. Pride-driven decisions made in the heat of attention can cost more than the short-term gain is worth. A short scene. Imagine an Aries named Lena, who once ran pop-up workshops in a small studio. In April, she gets a phone call from an online platform manager who says, almost as an aside, "We need your approach for a national series." Lena's first instinct is to underprice to get the slot. Instead, she uses her one-page pitch to demand a clear revenue split and a schedule. The series brings a surge of clientele by July, allowing her to hire an assistant and formalize offerings. By December, what was a weekend hustle has the shape of a brand. The outcome wasn't automatic. Lena had to price confidently and protect her margin. One-line payoff December. By winter, Aries could find a formerly small venture operating like a professional concern. Not guaranteed riches, but a clear structural shift towards sustainable income. If Aries learns to channel impulsive flame into focused combustion, the door opens. And now, if you're Taurus, listen closely. Your path is quieter, but no less powerful. Taurus, the year wealth grows in quiet soil. Prophetic anchor.
For Taurus, the image is of a patient root system absorbing unseen minerals. The prophecy suggests that steady attention breeds unnoticed, then visible harvest. Mechanism of arrival. Taurus wealth moves by attraction. It is less of a blast and more of a gravitational shift. Small, reliable signals accumulate, and opportunities that once seemed minor compound into a critical mass. For Taurus, the advantage lies in endurance and the ability to hold long enough for compounding to do its quiet work. Timing windows. The first half of spring often brings a subtle alignment. Networking threads reweave, old acquaintances reappear with offers, and summer accelerates momentum. Look to late summer into autumn for potential windfall moments, an unexpected investor, a licensing offer, or a sale that consolidates years of effort.
Signals to watch for. An unexpected acquaintance who turns out to be strategically placed, a minor player who suddenly opens a door. Quiet offers that arrive through indirect channels, a message from a past client, a LinkedIn note, a backstage introduction. An invitation to collaborate on a product or collection where Taurus receives royalties or passive income. A practical offer to buy or license an old idea, one that rewards patience rather than reinvention. Recommended mindset and practical moves. Maintain calm and resist the urge to micromanage every small advantage. Scaling for Taurus means learning to let go into systems and trusted partners. Document passive earning possibilities that already exist around you, royalties, licensing, subscriptions, and prioritize one that could be developed with modest effort. Build a simple delegation plan. Identify 2 tasks that you can hand off or automate within 60 days to free intellectual space for opportunity capture. Caution: Taurus's drawback is attachment. Clinging too tightly to control can choke growth. Equally dangerous is waiting for perfect terms. When a small, compounding opportunity appears, test it quickly rather than waiting for ideal conditions. A short scene. Picture Marco, a Taurus, who has been running a quiet consultancy for regional brands. In May, he receives a message from an old agency colleague. "We're putting together a small brand pack. Interested?" The fee is modest, but includes a clause for revenue sharing on any future retail products. Marco negotiates a fair, not maximal share, and provides a templated system for scale. By autumn, the collection sells better than expected, and Marco's passive share becomes a meaningful supplement to his consulting fees. He didn't become overnight rich, he became steadily richer. One-line payoff, December. By year's end, Taurus may find multiple small income streams layered together into a stable new baseline, a portfolio of passive pieces rather than a single jackpot. Quiet work, patient growth. If Taurus learns to loosen the reins just enough, the harvest will come. Up next, Gemini's momentum arrives like a sudden chorus, words and ideas turning into cash flow. Watch for that spark. Gemini, the year words stop being air and start being capital. Prophetic anchor. For Gemini, the prophetic image is a conversation that turns into currency. A single sentence becomes the blueprint for several revenue channels. Mechanism of arrival. Gemini's advantage is speed and multiplicity. Wealth arrives through networks, communication, and the capacity to turn an idea into multiple income streams quickly. Think of a thought that fans into a dozen small fires, each one a different way to monetize a central skill set. Timing windows. Early parts of the year bring rapid ideation. January through March is fertile for brainstorming and quick pilots.
Expect an explosion in midsummer, June to August, when one of those pilots scales into a dependable income channel. Signals to watch for. One phrase in a meeting or podcast that sparks listener or client demand, a line that becomes a hook people repeat. Multiple small offers appearing at once, event invitations, guest columns, micro-consulting requests. A collaborator proposing to productize your idea, turning an insight into a workshop, course, or digital product. Social traction that converts attention into paying clients or a paid community. Recommended mindset and practical moves. Move fast, but systemize quickly. When an idea shows promise, build a simple funnel, a clear next step people can buy into now. Create 2 templates immediately, a content to offer funnel and a pricing tier, entry offer plus premium option to capture both curious and committed buyers. Be ready to automate intake, a calendar link, a payment page, an FAQ. Speed turns interest into revenue, systems turn revenue into stability. Caution: Gemini risks scattering attention. A whirlwind of small successes can evaporate without consolidation. The temptation is to chase each new shiny object, Instead, choose 1 or 2 channels to scale and fold the rest into a supporting role. A short scene. Imagine June. A Gemini named Aria drops a clever line in a community live stream, a one-liner about doing strategy sprints for creative freelancers. Within 48 hours, 5 DMs ask for more. She launches a 2-week pilot, using a simple payment page and a templated agenda. The pilot sells out. By August, she's running monthly sprints and a paid mini-course. The income is layered and fast-moving. Without rapid systems, it would have been a flash in the pan. One-line payoff, December. By December, Gemini could have multiple divergent income streams flowing in, each moderate, together significant, provided they build systems to keep them running. Speed is Gemini's friend, but only if they build guardrails. Next, Virgo, where precision turns into quiet power. Pay attention. Virgo's window tightens like a clock and demands exactness. Virgo, the year structure becomes the engine. Prophetic anchor. For Virgo, the prophecy shows gears meshing, meticulous work suddenly meeting a market signal that rewards systems over spectacle. Mechanism of arrival. Virgos benefit when long-term refinement meets external demand. The pathway is not sudden fame, it is the conversion of skill into scalable systems. Think of expertise that once packaged and distributed shifts from hourly trade to ongoing revenue. Timing windows. Spring sets the groundwork, a period of reorganizing, refining, and documenting. Late spring into summer offers a test phase, and winter brings a possible triumph when systems prove durable enough to sustain new income levels.
Signals to watch for. An increase in inbound requests for specialized work beyond ad hoc gigs, clients seeking sustained partnerships. A formerly niche service being asked for at a larger scale, or a publisher-editor requesting a structured offering. Automated inquiries increasing after you publish a process or template, a sign that your method has market fit. An institutional player offering a testing partnership or pilot program. Recommended mindset and practical moves. Document. Convert tacit expertise into processes and templates that other people can use. Your gift is repeatability. Pilot a packaged offer, a monthly retainer, a productized service, or a signature system you can sell to multiple clients. Guard time for quality control. Early scaling fails when standards slip. Build a checklist that preserves your brand as you grow. Caution. Perfectionism can paralyze. Virgo's impulse to refine endlessly should be balanced with a hard stop for testing. Also avoid overburdening early systems with unrealistic scope. Modularity is better than all-in-one solutions. A short scene. Picture a Virgo named Jonah who has been doing meticulous data audits for small nonprofits for years. He documents his process and packages it into a quarterly health check, a modular product with clear deliverables. He offers a pilot to 3 organizations in late May. One large nonprofit's director loves the clarity and asks for a citywide rollout in October. Jonah must hire a small team and set standards to keep quality. If he keeps the system intact, by December, the quarterly health check is a recurring product. Pause. The pattern is clear. Aries needs catalytic momentum. Taurus benefits from patient compounding. Gemini turns words into product. Virgo scales through systems. Each sign's door opens differently. Each requires a different posture. Some doors scream, others whisper. But noticing the whisper is as valuable as answering the shout. A small reminder for those still with me. If this is landing for you, make sure you're subscribed so you get the full sign-by-sign roadmap and the monthly markers we'll watch as the year unfolds. Now imagine this sequence of moments across a single calendar: a spring phone call, a summer pilot, an autumn consolidation. They look different for each sign, but they share a cadence: signal, decision, small test, scale. If you've recognized similar patterns in your life, you're already halfway through the practical work. We're at a crossroads. Ahead lie the darker, deeper tides belonging to Scorpio and Capricorn, signs where transformation and slow-burning discipline collide with large-scale structural changes. But before we step into their territories, one more image to hold. 2026 is not a lottery. It is a series of doors and keys. The keys are small: conversations, clear pitches, a one-page map, the courage to protect margin when attention turns into money. Then the phone rings.
On the line is someone you once underestimated. They say, "Let's talk about expanding your model." You answer, "What do you do?" Then the phone rings. You answer. On the other end is a voice that's both familiar and strange. Someone who knows more about your work than they should. Someone who offers a pivot that smells like risk and reward. For some signs, that call will be a straightforward invitation. For Scorpio and Capricorn, it will be an initiation. Listen closely. Scorpio, the year of deep turnarounds and strategic power. Prophetic anchor. For Scorpio, the image is subterranean, a river carving a new channel beneath stone. The prophecy suggests not mere gain, but deep transformation, a reorganization of identity that yields financial gravity. Mechanism of arrival. Scorpio's opportunity arrives as a structural pivot. It isn't always a tidy promotion or a simple contract.
It's a call to reconceive value, to package influence, convert control into leverage, or let go of old models for something more strategic. Wealth for Scorpio often looks like power redistributed, equity stakes instead of hourly rates, partnerships that unlock networks, or a bold pivot into ownership. Timing windows. Scorpio faces tests early in the year. January through March will present moral and operational choices that set the tone. Real momentum may arrive by late summer into autumn, August through November, when a risky move either pays off or forces recalibration. The middle of the year is a proving ground. The latter months reveal whether transformation held. Signals to watch for. A proposition that asks you to swap short-term income for a share in something larger, equity, royalties, or a deferred revenue plan. An invitation to join a tight, high-stakes cohort, a roundtable, an advisory board, a partnership where influence, not title, matters. A test of loyalty moment. Someone offers help contingent on you taking a less visible but more strategic role. A hidden endorsement. A discreet introduction by an influential figure that accelerates access to capital or distribution. A crisis that forces you to reveal competence under pressure. The way you respond becomes the leverage others will buy. Recommended mindset and practical moves. Clarify the trade-offs. When offered equity or deferred terms, map scenarios. Best case, base case, worst case. Decide what trade-off aligns with your threshold for control and long-term upside. Build a trusted advisory pair. One confidant who understands operations, one who sees strategy. Scorpio's strength is discretion. Don't let secrecy isolate you from objective counsel. Practice strategic exits and entry points. Before you sign, define one early success metric and a short review window. Turn vague promises into measurable pilots. Caution. Scorpio's biggest danger is letting identity merge with opportunity. Power can intoxicate, and secrecy can foster blind spots.
Beware deals that require you to surrender too much control for vague promises of future influence. Temptation appears as flattering discretion. Respond with calculated transparency. A short scene. Imagine Diego, a Scorpio who has been a silent architect behind several local food concepts. In March, he is approached by a fast-growing hospitality group offering him a fractional stake in a new venture, low current pay, high future upside tied to expansion. It's an ask to stop consulting ad hoc and to build infrastructure for scale. Diego feels the pull. The equity could translate into ownership, but it means giving up immediate fees and ceding some operational control. He negotiates a staged arrangement, a small retainer now, a clear milestone that grants further equity, and an advisory seat with limited decision power at first. When a management crisis hits in September, Diego's systems and calm become indispensable. The group offers to buy a larger share, converting his deferred upside into tangible capital. He did not become rich by accident. He converted leverage into ownership by negotiating structure and proving indispensability. One-line payoff December. By winter, Scorpio could be sitting at the head of a new table, ownership, equity, or a decisive seat in an enterprise that materially changes future cash flows, provided they protect their stake and do not trade all control for promise. If Scorpio learns strategic patience and refuses false loyalties, transformation can be more than temporary. Up ahead, Capricorn's window is slow burning. The long game finally starts paying interest. Pay attention. The next door swings slowly, but it opens wide. Capricorn. The year discipline becomes dividend. Prophetic anchor. For Capricorn, the image is an old clock whose gears finally match the sun. Years of discipline ticks aligning with an outside current to produce sizable returns. The prophecy is less about sudden storms and more about compound elevation. Mechanism of arrival. Capricorn's wealth is the fruit of accumulated discipline turned structural. It's the moment when decades of reliable work, reputation, and incremental investments converge into opportunities that alter status and leverage. For Capricorn, wealth often arrives as institutional recognition, offers that elevate title and remuneration, buyouts, or opportunities to formalize a practice into a firm. Timing windows. Spring is the season when stalled projects awaken, often as small confirmations, a revived contract, a formal invitation, or an accreditation. Momentum consolidates through summer and crystallizes by autumn-winter. The arc is long. Moves made now may have roots and choices from many years past. Signals to watch for? A previously stalled negotiation resumes with seriousness. A funder, a board, or a client returns prepared to commit. An offer that elevates status. A senior role, a named partnership, or a chance to scale a team under your leadership.
Opportunities that convert sweat equity into cash or equity buyouts that reflect long-term contribution.
Institutional players proposing consolidation or acquisition conversations signals that what you've built has market value. Recommended mindset and practical moves. Translate legacy into terms others understand. Prepare a reputation dossier, measurable outcomes, repeatable processes, client lists, and testimonials that make your decades of work legible to decision makers. Set up governance and autonomy. Build contracts and frameworks that preserve control while enabling large-scale collaboration. Know in advance how much autonomy you need to retain. Prepare the infrastructure for growth, an organizational chart, a delegation plan, and a financial buffer that prevents short-term cash flow issues when you scale. Caution. Capricorn's hazard is impatience masked as prudence. The temptation is to keep building quietly while offers pass because the timing doesn't feel perfect. Alternatively, they may accept status without securing economic terms that match the elevation. Avoid selling the latter for temporary comfort. A short scene. Consider Alina, a Capricorn who has spent 15 years growing a boutique architecture studio. In April, a regional developer reopens a conversation about partnering on a township, an opportunity that would turn her boutique designs into large-scale commissions. The initial proposal is amorphous. Alina compiles a dossier, case studies, a project-based fee schedule, a staffing plan. She negotiates phased milestones tied to attainment and retains design control for key elements. By November, the township contract is secured. Her firm adds staff and a project manager. The deal does not materialize because she is lucky. It is the result of careful presentation and governance that allowed her to accept a larger role without losing the studio's identity. One-line payoff December. By year's end, Capricorn could see the payoff of long discipline, a structural elevation, a firm, a title, or a buyout that converts years of effort into new, sustained financial scaffolding. These two signs, Scorpio and Capricorn, require different postures. Scorpio must risk identity and convert influence into stake. Capricorn must translate steady effort into legible market value. Both must practice restraint where impulse might otherwise take over. Mini hook. If you thought these were the only patterns, remember, none of these changes arrive without three common muscles. Readiness, stewardship, and pattern watching are how you keep opportunity from passing like a comet across the sky. We'll break them down now. Synthesis. What the 6 signs share and 3 rules that make prophecy actionable. Across Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Virgo, Scorpio, and Capricorn, certain threads recur. These are not mystical mandates. They are practical patterns you can test and use.
Recognize them, and you'll convert possibility into momentum more often than chance would allow. Common thread 1. The signal is small and ordinary. A theme across the signs is that turning points often begin with non-dramatic cues: a casual call, a short email, a passing compliment, a slightly unusual request. These small signals become doors if you're ready. Learn to treat the ordinary as potential, to respond swiftly and with a prepared framework. Common thread 2. Decisions are leverage points. What separates those who scale from those who stay steady is not questionless bravery, but decision hygiene. A prepared, quick framework for saying yes, no, or let me pilot this. How you decide in the first 72 hours often determines your runway. That's true whether the ask is equity, Scorpio, a productized service, Virgo, or a one-off pilot, Gemini. Common thread 3. Money follows system and story. Across the 6 signs, money attaches to systems you can reproduce and stories you can convey. An Aries pitch that explains scale, a Taurus passive license, a Gemini funnel, a Virgo process, a Scorpio stake, a Capricorn dossier. Each converts narrative into structure, and structure attracts sustained value. 3 rules to make prophecy actionable. 1. Readiness over prophecy. Prepare a minimal decision kit before the signal arrives. A 1-page pitch, an onboarding template, a list of 5 trusted advisors. These are cheap to build and priceless when the call arrives. 2. Stewardship over splurge. Plan to steward any early gain. Open a separate account. Define a clear split: seed capital, reinvestment, reserve. Treat windfalls as capital to shape future capacity, not immediate lifestyle inflation. 3. Pattern recognition over panicked action. Track small occurrences. Keep a 30-day signal log, a simple note of invitations, phrases, and offers. Over a month, patterns emerge. If the same contact or phrase repeats, treat it as a rising tide rather than an isolated ripple. A 3-step playbook you can execute this week. 1. Prepare your 1-page pitch. Use a template: problem, solution, traction, ask, timeline. Keep it editable and accessible. If you can't distill value in a single page, your opportunity will be lost in conversation. 2. Set up a capture system. Create one place to funnel incoming opportunities: a calendar link, a simple form, or a contact email with an auto-response that asks for 3 key details. Speed and clarity turn curiosity into commitment. 3. Identify 2 tasks to delegate within 60 days. Whether it's admin, scheduling, or a repetitive client step, freeing cognitive space is how you respond well to chance windows. Put those tasks on someone else's checklist and trust the process. Signals to watch across the board, a practical checklist. The phone call that mentions expansion or thinking bigger. An unexpected introduction to someone with distribution. A small offer that includes deferred upside or royalties.
A repeat request for a packaged version of your work. A past collaborator returning with a different role in mind. Apply the checklist to your calendar. Block a weekly hour to review incoming signals and update your one-page pitch. This simple discipline moves you from reactive to strategic. Common cautions across the 6 signs. Avoid identity inflation. Early success is not your identity. It is a resource. Treat it like that. Beware of dilution. Take care when swapping control for promise. Preserve the levers you need to protect long-term value. Don't scale before you can sustain quality. A premature expansion that abandons standards often costs more than it returns. A consolidated example. Imagine one professional who applies all 3 rules. Visualize a freelance product designer named Maya. She is Gemini in temperament and Virgo in practice. In March, she records a small community webinar and hears 3 attendees ask the same question about implementing her process. She refines a one-page pitch, sets up a payment funnel, and delegates the onboarding flow to a part-time assistant. By July, she has converted the webinar into a paid mini-course and a monthly coaching cohort. She kept 30% in reserve, used 40% to hire help, and reinvested 30% into marketing. By December, she has built a stable tiered income without sacrificing quality, an outcome that looks like the prophecy but is actually the byproduct of disciplined readiness, stewardship, and pattern recognition. Putting the playbook into practice, tactical, non-prescriptive moves. Create a 72-hour response protocol. Within 3 days of a signal, respond with a meeting or a pilot offer. The goal is to convert interest into measurable steps. Make a 2-person test. Before agreeing to deferred terms, have a trusted second opinion review the trade-offs. Reserve the first 20% of any new income for reinvestment into capacity, tools, people, or infrastructure rather than lifestyle. Final mini anecdote to tie the rules together. Picture a neighborhood of small businesses, a baker, a web designer, a massage therapist, a book editor, and a small brewery. Each encounters a similar signal in the spring, an unsolicited offer from a local marketplace to feature them. The baker treats it as a shot and says yes without terms. The designer prepares a one-page pitch and a palette schedule. The brewery negotiates equity for promotions. By autumn, the designer's pilot scales to a regular stream. The brewery gains distribution but dilutes control. The baker is overwhelmed by orders because she hadn't built capacity. The difference was not luck but posture. The marketplace was the same. The outcomes diverge because of readiness, stewardship, and pattern recognition. Closing uplift, what 2026 can be if you act. 2026 may be framed as prophecy, but it behaves like a doorway. Small hinge, heavy consequences. The year hands out invitations in humble forms, a message in your inbox. A line in a conversation, a person who calls out of nowhere. The difference is whether you treat these invitations as noise or as keys. If you are one of the 6 signs named, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Virgo, Scorpio, or Capricorn, you are being asked to practice a posture. Notice small signals, decide with a prepared framework, steward gains thoughtfully, and build systems that let wins compound. The narrative attributed to Baba Vanga is a lens, not a decree. Use the lens to see patterns you might miss. A short, practical checklist to take with you now. Prepare your one-page pitch today. Set up a capture system for incoming opportunities this week. Delegate 2 tasks within 60 days to create bandwidth. Open a separate account for new income and earmark the first 20% for reinvestment. Keep a 30-day signal log and review it weekly. Final caution. Do not confuse opportunity with obligation. Not every call is a direction. Not every offer aligns with your values or your capacity. Your job is to translate potential into durable value, to say yes when it scales you and no when it compromises you. Final CTA and closing image. If this message landed with you, like and share this video with someone who needs to hear this framework. Click the pinned link for a downloadable, sign-specific checklist that turns these pages into practical templates you can use each time the phone rings. Follow for monthly updates as 2026 unfolds. We'll track the windows, the signals, and the micro moments that matter. Remember the image that opened us, a blind mystic's line about a single year that changes everything. Take it as a story with teeth, a way to look for doors in the ordinary. When the door creaks, bring your key, a one-page pitch, a simple system, and the courage to steward what follows. The year may hand you a turning point. What you do with it will be the real prophecy.